What is up, comic book fam, and welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and I'm joined here with my pal Ryan, and we're going to take a spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics and more right after this. So if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell so you know whenever new content drops. And you can check my Instagram out or my Facebook page where I try to put comic book news up. I have the links for those in the description, as well as the links for Ryan's YouTube channel. Check out New Guy on YouTube. He drops great content all the time. He's got all kinds of creators on his channel nonstop. He's one of the hardest working men in show business that I know. And also find him on Instagram. The channel link for that is also in the description below. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and say hello to everybody that's here. We have Lucretius, as always. What's up, my brother from New Mexico? DJ Links, you're Remy Studios. Hey, how are you doing? Got Ryan himself is in there. We got Plotted Up. How's it going? And we thank everybody for stopping by so far. So me and Ryan were talking just briefly before we started about WandaVision. So before we get into the comics and stuff, let's just go ahead and tackle that, because I want to flush some of it out for myself and try to help my perspective on it, because I have mixed feelings about it. And this is a fair warning. It's in the description of this video, of this show, every week since I've done it. So 16 episodes straight. This is a spoiler-filled look at comics and more. So we will be talking spoilers, but spoiler to the spoiler, there's not much to spoil with the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. If you saw the trailer for it, any trailer, pick a trailer, doesn't matter. Just one trailer, one time, you are completely caught up on the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. So what were your overall thoughts of the first 2 episodes?
Overall thoughts, I don't know. I thought it was really cool. I thought they leaned into the nostalgia of it more than like the actuality of it, you know.
Oh yeah.
It didn't feel nearly as weird as I thought it was gonna feel, in the sense of like trying to recreate something, you know, because I think they tried to make it feel like what we remember it, like not what it actually was. So I thought that made it really interesting. And then I didn't expect them to get into like kind of the Twilight Zone-y aspect of it as much in the first 2 episodes. I thought it would get more Twilight Zone-ish, you know, as the season progressed, until it was just like something really wild and crazy at the end, you know. But it felt like, you know, in the first 2 episodes, they pretty much leaned into that as well. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I'm definitely more interested for more now that I've seen it.
Now, it's no mystery. Again, like, we're really not hitting on any spoilers, and it's pretty much going to be impossible to get on any spoilers, because anything that we point out about these first 2 episodes has nothing to do with the overall story. There's really no reason to mention like the last 2 seconds of the first episode. That would be the only thing that might be a little spoilery, but there's nothing to talk about with it other than who dat. And we don't know the answer to who dat. So, but someone pointed out to me, and I thought it was a cool aspect, because we all know that they have this classic TV show look to it, like they're living in a sitcom. That was given to us in the trailer. Wanda, being from Sokovia, like this communist-ran third world country she's from, the only aspect that she had, and the only view she's had of freedom her whole life, was growing up with sitcoms, possibly. So her vision of a perfect life is whatever she might have seen on TV as a child. That's why she might have ended up in this place that she's in right now.
World.
Yes, yeah, I thought that was a really cool perspective. I thought that was super cool to think about. I think that they definitely played well into the TV show sitcom stuff. we're clearly moving through the time eras with the episodes. You know, you get that first episode that's throws you way back to like the banter and the wittiness of like the 50s even. And then that second episode, they kind of change the camera angles up and the way that the dialogue is moving and everything. And then, of course, by the end of that second episode, it looks like we're moving into Technicolor.
So one thing I wanted to ask, like, what is your relationship to this type of TV and this era of TV?
Well, I'm from the South in the Bible Belt, and I was raised up by a family that doesn't drink, smoke, cuss, or nothing. So when my mom comes over to hang out, which is regularly, you know, she like watches the kids while me and my wife work one day a week. Every Monday is family dinner night. When she comes over, it's Andy Griffith on TV, just neutral. Like I think I've seen every episode of Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, Gomer Pyle, USMC.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've watched pretty much all these shows growing up. Beverly Hillbillies from black and white to color, and I was even when I watched this with my dad, and when the second episode came on, it was a clear riff on Bewitched with the opening scene of it. I was telling Dad, I'm like, oh, it looks like we've moved up in time eras here. I wonder if we're going to get some color in this episode because Bewitched is happened during that time era where that show started in black and white but ended in color. So I'm very familiar with all these old TV shows, but so I enjoyed that aspect of it, but I'm not. If I want to watch those, I'll go watch those. That's where I kind of wish they wouldn't have leaned into just recreating these episodes with Wanda and Visions as characters in them.
Yeah, yeah. See, for me, like I grew up, we watched a lot of like reruns and stuff growing up, but especially I had a relationship with my grandma. And she lived in like deep East Texas where there's like nothing, and so she didn't have cable or anything. So I would stay over there like all summer, you know, for like 2 3 months straight, and she would just have 3 channels, and so I grew up watching a lot of like old black and white stuff, and Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie were some of my favorites. So it was really cool to see that stuff in here. I watched a lot of like Hogan's Heroes
Oh yeah,
and yeah,
that's a good
stuff
one.
like that. Andy Griffith. But my grandma really liked like the black and white Gunsmoke, like the westerns. You know, Have Gun Will Travel, Gunsmoke.
Shooter.
Yeah, the Rifleman. You know, watched a lot of those reruns and stuff. So for me, this was really cool. It was a cool experience, just like feeling all that again. You know, they even cropped the TV down to the 4:3, and like it did. It was really cool to see how they pulled this off. I was really impressed with how authentic it all looks. You know.
It did, even all the way down to the special effects that they were using. It was clearly just whether they used wires to pull it off, they made it look like they were using wires to pull it off, which was it was
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
cool.
like the kitchen scene with all the
Yeah,
dishes. Like that's exactly what that stuff used to look like. Like you could kind of see it hanging on a wire that they had been trying to
it
erase.
was
You know?
wobbling.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think they definitely did a good job creating that, and I think the more familiar you are with the characters, like in their backstory and the actual comics and stuff, the more you might lose your patience with the first two episodes. Because just from the trailer, I already assumed so much that is probably going to hash out to be correct or pretty close to correct. You know, so I was starting it already waiting on us to be beyond these first two episodes. You know, just my anticipation of, all right, she's in her own head, or she had a mental breakdown, or she's guarding herself from something, or whatever reason. Like I'm already in there, and then Agnes, you know, that's if that is Agnes Harkin or however you say her name,
Oh,
that's
the
Frank.
neighbor.
Yeah, that's Franklin Reed's babysitter. Reed and Sue got her as a babysitter for Franklin Reed to protect him. And she's trained Wanda in the comics and stuff because she's a witch. So and then the way that she kind of reacts to certain things in there, the way that she just makes these subtle faces and stuff, it makes me feel like she might be either in there doing damage control or in there to try to keep Wanda in there because in the comics, and they haven't touched on this at all in the MCU, she's a mutant with reality altering powers. She's not. You would just think she's a telekinesis, or you think she's Jean Grey, that she can just move
Yeah.
things with her mind. But that's not her skill set at all. So I think this show is going to hash out her actual skill set and get into how powerful she really is, you know, and what she's capable of doing. And we'll have the neighbor there to try to rein her in and help her get it under control. Maybe she snapped after Endgame. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I do kind of think that that's why we got these first two episodes, is because it's become very popular in this medium to do a lot of fan servicey stuff and just kind of like throw away the beginning to be like the ultimate fan service, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how that first episode felt, was like, we're just going to do this thing that like sets a tone, you know, and kind of lets you know, like, this is the world you're in. And then the second one seems to get into a little bit more, but I agree with you. Like, not a lot has happened with plot. We don't know anything more than we knew from the beginning of the first episode. So that part is kind of weird, but I do feel like that first episode was just like fan service. Like, we're going to show you what this is going to be like, you know?
So Specs is saying the mutant trait got retconned and that Magneto's not her dad anymore. Well, I wonder, I missed that in the comics when they retconned her from being a mutant. And I know in the movies they haven't touched on it because of, the rights were somewhere else, and they did a lot of shady stuff while they didn't have the rights for Fantastic Four and the X-Men. Like they stopped writing, they
Yeah, they shelved them.
they shelved them completely. So I can definitely see where that might have happened, and yeah, I just hadn't seen that though. The last great story with Scarlet Witch that I read was like the House of M stuff, like actually inside of the 616 continuity.
See, and for me going into this, like, to me, like, Wanda has been the least consistent character in the MCU, and Vision has been pretty boring. I don't know. I mostly associate him with my least favorite, well, one of my least favorite movies in the MCU. Like, Age of
Oh,
Ultron is not
okay.
that, it's not that significant to me, you know, and so, and then he felt like he was in the background in Civil War. Like, I had no interest in these two characters. So to watch these two episodes, I do want to know more. I do want to find out what's going on, because it's more interesting than I expected it to be, considering these are probably my least two favorite characters in the MCU.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with them. And I think again, it's just my excitement to see, because this has so much potential, and I'm sure they're going to take it there. I have full hope and I full faith in them that they're going to take it to an amazing place. I'm just ready to get there. And thinking about how much more scenes I've seen from the trailers, with them, like they're going to have a Halloween episode where they're trick or treating in their classic comic outfits and stuff. So we know we're still going to be inside of a sitcom when that's all going on. So I feel like we have so much we have to tread through to get to the actual plot at hand. Because I don't feel like the sitcom stuff is the plot at hand at all for me. It's enjoyable, it's nostalgic, but that burned pretty quick. I was expecting to see that in some of the first episode, and then kind of get snapped into what's going on. And I don't know, the format, they're really committing to this long format with this, and it's short episodes.
Yeah, it's only what, 30-minute episodes?
Well, if you it was like 20 something minutes with like the end credits, and I felt like the end credits for that, when the first time you watch anything it seems the longest, but I felt like the end credits were longer than the episode when on episode one
Dude,
I'm sitting there watching them and watching them.
I thought I was at the end of the credits and the little bar came up and it was like 5 minutes, 24 seconds left. And I was
Yeah.
like, how? Like, I watched it just because I was like, there must be something extra here. There's no way that's just credits.
So what they did is they made a legitimate uh full length 30-minute TV show if you extracted the commercial. So that means it was 20 minutes of actual show, 5 minutes of credits, because it was a 25-minute long episode for that first one.
What did you think about like the commercial breaks and stuff and the way they
I,
played into that?
I thought it was cool. That was the first time you saw the little glitch with the reality that we're experiencing when they showed the Stark toaster. Because for one,
Mhm.
the light was blinking red, and for two, there's just a split second there, and it was so subtle. I actually loved it when it didn't pop soon enough, and the gentleman who was trying to sell it kind of looks at her with concern, and then it pops. And, hey, everything's normal again. We're happy. We're fine. I'm like, okay. So even
The
whatever these are in this alt reality, they're feeling discomfort at times.
Yeah, I really like it because it's just it's like a genius way to build out the universe, you know. Like, that's the kind of thing I'm always talking about, like with the Power Rangers comics, is like, if you had the graphic novels connected to the continuity of the comics, you know, you can be slowly building the universe out. And like they do that with these little commercials. It's like, oh yeah, like Start Tech, and like we're seeing the company in a different time period and kind of like builds out all the smaller elements of the universe. So I really like those, but the woman, I'm assuming she had red hair in that first commercial with the toaster, like a robot,
Assuming.
dude. Like it was so, yeah, it was disturbing. It was so uncanny. The way that she looked at you, just like so empty inside and motionless. It was weird.
Oh, ooh, Specs just hit on something. The commercials are the trauma she experienced. We have a Stark toaster. That's a very good point.
Hmm.
I hadn't really thought about that. What were the other commercials?
The second one was a watch, I want to say.
That's pretty cool concept. Oh, Austin said he hopes the whole season isn't just a series of Easter eggs and speculation with a banging final cliffhanger. Then we'll have to wait a whole year for everything to be explained in season two. Doesn't sound outside of the realm of possible because when does, and they already mentioned, someone mentioned it, the multiverse of madness that she's supposed to be in with Doctor Strange. I wonder if because these are all connected to the movies. They're going hard
Hmm.
on it.
That's right. It was the Hydra wristwatch. I was like, I remember it was a watch, and they were like setting the time on it or something, but it had the Hydra logo.
Yeah, that was a really good observation by him with the commercials being her traumas. I can definitely see that. So there's a lot of attention to detail, and again, it was just I'm just craving more and more and more. It's
Yeah,
been so long since we've had any MCU content. It feels like.
yeah, and I don't know, like there's definitely shows that fall into like different categories of distribution. This one's sort of feeling like it would have been a better binge experience right now because there is just like
Nothing
not
to
a
watch.
yeah, like we talked about like the Future State Teen Titans, it was like, man, this was a dense read, whereas like these two episodes felt the exact opposite. Like they felt like an issue of firepower, like that you just breeze through it and you're like, man, was it even worth the time? And if
Both
we're gonna get
episodes
just one of
compressed
these
one
each
issue of
week, like
Firepower.
it's
Yeah.
gonna feel like we're not getting anything.
Hopefully they do more than one a week at least, but I doubt they will. That's so short of episodes. But with Mandalorian, which is on that same format, and I don't disagree at all with the one a week. I enjoy to be able to binge something, but all the DC Universe, the streaming shows they had were once a week, and me and my wife would look forward to Fridays when Titans came on or Monday when Stargirl came on, and it was kind of just part of our routine while they were on. And we
Yeah,
had a blast doing that. And same thing with Mandalorian. I like having something to look forward to because if they let us binge it, the flip side is you binge it and then you're left with nothing to watch all over again.
yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Certain shows have a different vibe to them. This is just going to feel really empty if we just keep getting 30-minute episodes that feel this light and jovial.
Yeah, with only 10 seconds at the end of each episode that you really have to try to break down and figure out what's going on.
And what do we know how long this season is? How many episodes there's supposed to be?
I don't, but I'm already assuming it's going to be short. That just seems like what they've done with the only thing I have to base it on is the Mandalorian. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking probably what 8 to 10 episodes.
if we're
And
lucky,
then
you get 10.
yeah, I don't know if they have a season 2 plan for this or if this is supposed to be substantial enough to like kind of tell a story for these characters.
That's a good point too, because you know how they rolled out with that conference call about 57 different Star Wars projects, but not every Star Wars project they rolled out was an actual ongoing TV show, or like the Loki TV show, for example. That's supposed to only be like a mini series, just one single standalone mini series just to tie up a loose end there. Maybe that's all this is just to get us a little filler from the last time we saw Wanda until the next time we see Wanda, just to kind of give her character some more depth because, like you pointed out, she's kind of been inconsistent and just kind of in the background.
Yeah. Austin says it's 9 episodes. So yeah, I mean that's cool, and I like the idea of like shorter season. Like, have you you're familiar with Valiant Comics, right?
Oh yeah,
Like I love the way they manage their universe, because you'll just get like a little 5 issue miniseries of a character that kind of like tells a story, but they exist in universe, you know. And then you'll have your event, and that kind of like sets the status quo for what the universe is like until the next event, you know. And you might have like one or two ongoing series. I think they have three right now. But then they have all these like other characters that get these short mini series, and I feel like that's probably the best way for the MCU to manage a cinematic universe. Is like, we're just gonna get one season of this WandaVision, but it's gonna give a lot of like story and character growth and depth to these characters. So as they appear in more movies, that's all out of the way, you know. But they don't
Yeah,
necessarily have to have a season 2 or 3 or 4 or 10, you know.
yeah. We'll see how it goes. I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. I'm very hopeful, and also think it. Each episode, especially with it changing in the color, how they're changing kind of generation or decades here. I think that'll give a little bit more just to look at, but that wears out pretty quick, like in each episode. So hopefully, as it gets a little bit farther along and we start hitting a time era where it isn't just shows that I'm watching as a kid that are already 40 years old, but shows that I experienced as I grow up. Maybe those will hit me a little bit differently. So it'll be fun getting to experience that, because it'll
Mhm.
become not just nostalgic that there's something different between being a kid and watching I Love Lucy and growing up and watching Family Matters or Full House or Fresh Prince yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a cool aspect when we start hitting like what looks like the Roseanne years. And I seriously doubt that they're going to do Roseanne, considering she's not too popular. Me and my dad were talking about that. I don't think she's going to get a shake at it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. Like, how like how far are they gonna go? Because I was like, that was the first thing that popped in my mind. Is like, are we gonna get a Roseanne episode? Like, that'd be crazy, you know?
Vision walking around in flannel with a little vest.
Right.
They got to
So
do something for the 80s though, because you see a couple pictures with Wanda with her hair all frizzed up and hairsprayed to stay up in the air.
yeah, this also kind of reminds me of that movie Pleasantville.
Yeah, that
Where it's
was a
all
really
black
good
and
movie.
white. Yeah, that was a cool one. So that's what the end reminded me of, at least with all the color seeping in and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, like this is starting to feel like Pleasantville, where like something's not quite right and color and all this stuff, you know. So
On
I'm
specs,
interested to see where they go from here.
well, first off, the retcon with Wanda, in case anyone was wondering, they didn't see when I pulled this up earlier. It happened between the Axis event and the all different storyline. If y'all want to go back and check that out, I'm going to go check it out just because that's something that I missed. And Obi-Wan is only 4 episodes, he believes, which is a bummer because that's one of the ones I'm more excited about because I want to see that Anakin Obi-Wan stuff rehash. And then he said the beekeeper was an aim worker. I was wondering about the beekeeper and the aim. The aim outfits in the comics look goofy. They have those full body suits on. And I don't know if that was just supposed to be her perception of a memory of an aim worker. But as far as the MCU goes, she has no ties to aim whatsoever. The only time they've ever touched on AIM was in Iron Man 3. They kind of just burned through it. So it'd be cool if they bring AIM back in and the
Yeah,
advanced idea.
that was the other influence I felt a lot of, was like the Truman Show. Whenever they're starting to
Yeah.
realize, like, wait, something's not right. Yeah,
And everyone around him just stops. The Truman Show was
yeah.
really good.
Hmm.
So that was a pretty cool moment when she saw the beekeeper crawling out of the sewer. She's like, no, and just kind of just rewound it. Now, I don't know if anyone caught it at the end of that
Man,
first
almost felt like
episode.
a horror vibe to it at that moment, you know?
Yeah, at the end of that first episode when we come out of the TV and we see the actual what you can only assume is the real world, somebody monitoring her. Did you
Yeah,
see the logos on the notepad and on the sticker? It looked like a sword inside of a circle. So I'm wondering if it might have to do with sword, which is like the Marvel's version of Shield, but for like intergalactic issues or
yeah.
spacey cosmic issues. And again, we're leading into the multiverse of madness with all this. So I'm wondering if the sword agency is going to have anything to do with it. But we
Yeah.
shall see. Who knows? So that was my,
Interesting.
yeah, it definitely is. That was my rundown on it. I'm super excited to see new content for the MCU. It was fun. It had its awesome moments for it, and yeah, it's not super rewatchable unless you're going to watch it with someone who hasn't seen it yet so far.
Yeah.
But books. Big week for books.
Yeah. So what'd you read this week?
This
Oh, sweet.
there's a couple of duplicates in here. Like I got a. I'm trying to get all those. I wish they'll stop making them already, so I could stop buying them. But yeah,
Rangers.
yeah, and I didn't realize that this was a third print for Power Rangers #1, or I wouldn't have got it. It was just in my box. It's that last image from issue 1. But yeah, and I'm going to stop getting these legacy numberings now. I was hoping they'd only do them for a few of them, but they're still doing the Mighty Morphin Power Ranger legacy numberings, and it's up to 60, so that's a good solid number to stop at. But are you still reading this?
I never started reading that.
Oh my god. I was planning on dropping this. Like, if you watch my previous few videos, I was planning on dropping this, and I was excited to get to the end of the story arc so I could drop it. But they did so many unexpected things in this, in the direction that they're going for the next story arc. I don't see how I can drop it now. I just don't know. I've read Immortal Hulk because I always read Immortal Hulk. This was a very weird issue. The leader is on some brand new stuff. He's basically trying to become the Hulk, not the Hulk, but become immortal in a sense.
Yeah.
Very weird route to get there, but it really gets into a lot of the history of the Hulk, like his dad and stuff, and all the new concepts that Al Ewing introduced in the series. Iron Man #5, still not impressed. I continue to wait to be impressed, and I continue to say I'm probably going to drop it. But other than that, just Future State. Whole lot of Future State, all the Future State.
What about Future State this week? How did you feel about it?
Mixed emotions. When I say mixed emotions, I actually enjoyed every single story that came out, except I wasn't a big fan of the Kara Zor-El one. It was the only one that I was thinking about not picking up, and when there's only one that you're thinking about not picking up, and so I kept going in. Austin just said Seven Secrets has just started my eyes. Absolutely, absolutely. That first 6 issues, like I was saying for a while, that I think the first 3 issues were just the introduction and kind of world building, as I've heard you put it before, and they kind of get started in the action. But nope, nope. This was obviously the clear introduction, because now we're getting questions. We thought we had questions before. We're getting introduced to new concepts. 2 of the cases were open, not one, but 2 of the cases were open, and because they're literally running around with 7 cases that contain secrets. You don't know what they are, and you get
Yeah.
to this at the end where the bad guys have stormed the castle. They've got good guys cornered. People are falling on the sword to try to get as many secrets out as they can. Uh, Kanto gets his arm cut off, and the bad guys get one of the secrets. Pretty much everyone bugs out, and the bad guys are getting ready to open it. And the leader of the 7 secrets, who try to protect him, screams at him, "You don't know what you're doing. Don't you remember what happened to Atlantis?" Then they open it, and it goes all Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Everyone just melts down. I'm like, whoa, what just happened? What just happened? And they're all cornered. There's no way out. And old girl who's like in charge of everything screams back at him, open the 3rd secret. And they open it, and you see like this crazy portal made of like flowers and vines and stuff opens up, and they just step into who knows what, and they go walking on, like, it almost looks like the rainbow road that takes you to Asgard. They're just out in empty space, and they're trying to stay on the path. It got crazy, dude. It's been 100% grounded in reality, and then all of a sudden all this happens in one issue. It was insane. It was insane. Let's talk that book first.
Okay. I do agree with you on Kara Zor-El. That book was awful in my opinion.
Yeah, it was not great at all.
That was a really tough read to finish. I was like, "Dude, this is going nowhere."
Mm-mm.
Superman and Wonder Woman, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't take it too serious. It took me more serious than I took it. And it turned out to be awesome. I thought it was a lot of fun and more great characterization for Yara. And I really like her. I think the way that they have handled her so far is great. Like, she's flawed, she's conflicted, you know, and she's relatable. I like it.
That attitude right in the
Yes.
beginning when the helicopter pilot threatened to shoot her, she said, "Please, please, please try to shoot me." And she wasn't saying it bluffingly. She honestly wanted this man to fire on her so she could have some fun. Like it was wild.
And after that, she goes and gets a drink.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, yes, this is
I
relatable. I like this God, you know.
Yeah, I had seen on someone. I can't remember what channel I was watching. It was some. I don't think I see a lot of the people from a normal chat on this channel. I never see them in the chats for it, but God, I forget the name of it. But they were talking about how they thought it was weird that there's a Wonder Woman from South America because it makes no sense. But that's actually where the Amazon is in the real world that we live in. That's where the Amazon rainforest is in South America, and the pantheon of gods that no one knows about. They actually kind of start to dive into this. Like you have the sun and the moon god from her pantheon of gods who started to exist again because people are starting to believe in her. And her job, this Wonder Woman's job, is not to like guardian and protect the people, but to protect the gods, like bring the relationship from person to God together via the gods, not from the people's perspective. So I think that's really cool as well. And seeing these gods that get to exist again and how happy they are to exist again and reckless they are and everything, I thought that was really cool. And I don't know a lot about the the gods from the South America and the history of them and what all comes from. So that's all brand new information for me, and you don't ever really see it in comics or stuff that I read, at least, you know. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know anything about like their mythos and all that. So I'm learning it through this comic, and I know they're like kind of mixing some things here and there, you know, but for the most part I thought it was interesting. It was fun, you know, like the way that they brought, I will say like Jonathan was a little weird. Like he wasn't the same Jonathan from the Superman of Metropolis issue, you know.
Rightfully so. This is like 40 years in the future.
Okay, that's what I was wondering because I was like, man, like this guy is all like happy about everything, and like that guy was like, you know, let's model
Super
it and just like take it off over here, you know.
Superman Metropolis is like early on with him taking up the mantle. So you're seeing him in the moment's notice, just trying to save people, but doing it like questionable ways, even in his own opinion, questionable ways. I don't know what to do. Let me do something. In this, they kind of try to show that little difference in time area. Like if you just looking at him on the cover, I know it's a different artist, but he looks a little bit older. But they differentiate him with the cape. He actually has a cape in this. He does in Superman of Metropolis, as well as Justice League. That's 10 years past this.
Oh, okay.
Which obviously at the end of this, he's trying to talk her into joining the Justice League, and she's like, "Nah, not for me."
Yeah, I enjoyed how they handled the storytelling in this, though. The way it started with Superman and like all these like minute details, and then we cut to South America and meet her and kind of explore this problem, and the way they bridged the gap between the two. I thought that was really cool stuff. Really unique the way they did it.
Yeah, and I like how he was trying to go through his routine. You know, he's trying to fit the mold of being normal, and where we're seeing what we're seeing in Superman Metropolis, he's trying to fit the mold of being Superman, and he's not. He's trying to figure that out. You know, like I mentioned, how he's very very rough around the edges at it. In this, he's trying to fit the mold of being a person. So we're seeing in those two books, and one week and the other, him working on this perspective of his identity, and then in the other one, he's working on the other perspective of his identity. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Overall, it just turned out a lot of fun.
what was his name, Solaris or whatever, the
Yeah.
sun monster.
Hmm.
When he went up there to try to reason with him, he said, "You're lying to me." And Superman's response was, "Of course I'm lying. I'm Superman. You know, you're known for truth, justice, and the American way." But Jonathan's like, "Of course I'm lying. I'm Superman. You know, just whatever to get the job done." So he's still not his father, which I think is really cool. They're
Yeah,
doing enough to keep it separated from that. Just like with Yara, you know, I'm convinced she is Wonder Woman. I'm not convinced she's Diana, but I'm convinced she's Wonder Woman. And I think that they rolled her out so smooth, man.
yeah, yeah. I'm excited to see what they do with that character after Future State, and because she blends so well into everything we've seen so far. She's in Justice League. She's in Superman, Wonder Woman, and then her own book, so we're getting quite a bit of her in this overall event, and so it's interesting to see so much of her. I hope that she doesn't just get dropped because I like
Yeah,
her.
they need to keep her around. And I do appreciate how a lot of these are set in different years. Because
Yeah.
like it doesn't take long, but I take the time just to place them in their year and read them in order every week. So when I read Justice League, after this, like you can see that there's been some character development between her and Jonathan, because they're like on a close friend status at that point. And in this, they're definitely not. They're just mutual allies in the moment, just not even on the reg. But it was really good. I'm excited for the next issue of it. I thought the artwork in it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Again, the art all around has been pretty good for Future State. That Kara Zor-El book, the art was attractive art, but it was not my taste at all.
Yeah, it
Not
reminded me of like a Disney princess movie, like Snow White or something.
Yeah, one thing, like I know a lot of people like Peach Momoko. I don't really care for her art on comics. She's a good artist, but I just don't care for her art on comics. And the color palette that is used on her art, just that flat, light pencils. That's
Yeah.
how I felt about this. It just doesn't pop for me. What else from Future State did you read that you enjoyed or didn't enjoy?
Honestly, Kara's the only one I didn't like.
I do
Um,
want to say it was pretty cool with the cover. Do you see her collar line
oh yeah.
shaped, shaped like the S around her? Hard
Mm.
to do this on the reverse screen, but it's shaped like the Superman S.
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty cool. I didn't notice that till after I read it.
What about Green Lantern? What'd you think?
That's what I was grabbing. dude, I enjoyed this one so much. I don't know why. Again, it hasn't been long since I burned through the entire New 52 Green Lantern again, but I enjoyed it a lot. We had three different stories in this. You had the first story, which is the primary story in the book, where you follow John Stewart and two other lanterns, but they have no lanterns. They're just people.
I thought that was the weakest of the three, to be honest. Like, it was a really,
Absolutely agree.
but it just felt like I walked into something, and it was very like disorienting all the way through the story itself. And
Because you
then
walk into havoc and straight chaos.
yeah, yeah, and if I think they should have started it with the Jessica Cruz one because I really got into it with that story. Like that one, I started to feel myself kind of pulled into the book, but the first one, I felt like I was just turning the page because I had to.
And the
And I think it's
artwork threw
very
me
disorienting.
off really bad.
I think if they had put Jessica Cruz first, it would have introduced us to the world of like powerless lanterns.
Yeah, I think that they try to take strategic moves with it where they want you to wonder why and wonder why. And we're still wondering why, but the artwork was so weird to me. And I had mentioned that to you before, how it looked like everyone had big heads and little arms.
Yeah,
And it was it's just really, really odd artwork. Let me do this real quick. It was just I don't really know how to describe it other than
cartoony.
yeah, it's very cartoony, which I think that what isn't necessarily a bad thing with how violent it was, because this was a gory, gory issue.
Yeah,
But all the people that were on the spaceship on the space command, they got these really big heads. Like really big heads. So I don't know what was up with that.
like bobbleheads.
Yeah. They look like a bunch of pop figures. But it wasn't a bad story. It just didn't feel like it had any meaning to it in terms of what's going on in the overall. The whole purpose of it was just to say these dudes have no rings. We get it; they have no rings. But that second story with Jessica Cruz is really cool. You find her out on a Green Lantern outpost that's out of juice, and we have three Sinestro Corps members show up, and one of them's not a little deal at all. Lysa is a big deal, the keeper of the Book of Sinestro, and Jessica Cruz straight home alones them. And it was
That's
awesome.
true. Yeah, that's true.
And she had been out there alone, it said, for a year without her ring, just keeping the station's power running, keeping herself alive, just waiting out a solution. So by the time these three Sinestro Corps members get there, she knows her way around good enough to keep
Yeah,
herself alive and take them out.
really enjoyed that one.
I'm excited for where it's going to go because let's see how she does with some fear, because it ends with her taking Lysa's ring off, and she's planning on just winning the day, but the ring looks at Jessica Cruz and says, "You've been chosen because you have a lot of fear." And then if you watch her speech bubbles all through the book, are Green Lantern speech bubbles, and they turn into they fade into yellow block, and then they fade into the Sinestro shaped block. So
Yeah,
it was cool seeing that actual shift on it. And the Guy Gardner story is what we had for the third and final book, and it was just hilarious. It was
yeah,
just, well, that's what Guy Gardner's supposed to be, so I was fine with that.
yeah. Yeah, it was a trip. I don't know. I was surprised how much I enjoyed that because it seems almost kind of dumb, but I don't know. It's just it turned out good. It was like very wholesome.
I feel like they were writing for the character, like that's the kind of crap that you'd expect Guy to find himself in, because that's the kind of crap Guy doesn't want to be in. And that's just his thing, he's the bad attitude, always pissed off kind of guy. And his ring goes out on him. For anyone who hasn't read it or doesn't plan on reading it, his ring goes out on him on an alien planet trying to stop a religious civil war between these primitive tribes. And as soon as it goes out, they assume that he's the savior sent for him, so they start worshiping him. So he spends like 20 years on this planet, or a few years. I don't. He spent a long, long time on this planet, going back and forth. Like he would say something to him, and they would take it to the extreme, and then try to find a heretic to punish. And he would have to keep trying to stop them. He had to stop them from using the word heretic. Like, no more, no more.
Well, I mean, it's like what if God did reveal Himself and He used His ability to do something so incredible that you would believe in Him, but turns out like that's the last magic He had, and He can no longer magic anymore. And so like they're just like constantly asking him for things because they see him as a god, but he can no longer do anything,
Yeah. And I thought it was
Very
really cool.
like a sitcom style setup.
Yeah. And we'll get into Teen Titans here shortly. There's a lot to get into in that book. But that's exactly what it was, Remy Q Studios. It was T-Rex style drawing in that first book. And no, I don't ever wonder where they pull these stories out from. I tell my kids stories all the time. I make stuff up off the top of my head. I'm sure other people can do it too.
Right.
Yeah. But I thought it was awesome, and what got me the most excited was how this book ended. Because right when he gets things settled, you have that one outlier in the crowd that, as soon as it's peaceful, he's not happy for whatever reason. But in the midst of them trying to talk reasonably to this outlier, the main man himself pulls up, and Lobo pulls up. So that's how the book ends, with Lobo pulling up. So at least Guy has a way off this rock now, if no other reason.
Right.
But I doubt Lobo's going to leave quietly. He's going to have some fun first. Why is he even there is a good point.
Right.
But I was definitely overall happy with it.
Yeah, I don't think that first story was bad. It was just I don't know, really disorienting the way they dropped you into it. So if they
Oh,
had
it
like got
wasn't.
the organization of their stories a little bit different, I think it would have helped a lot.
No, it wasn't bad. It just didn't seem necessary. You know what I mean? Like
That
the
too.
I don't know if that fight was necessary, because we have no context on why they're fighting it, where they're going, where they're coming from. Are they just there on just was it supposed to be just a standard Green Lantern story where you have this alien race of people getting invaded by this war faction, and they're trying to intercede and save them? Which, if that's what it is, it was just a standard Green Lantern story, just to show you how the current Green Lanterns are trying to still keep up peace and order in the galaxy without being able to ring sling. And if that's the case, it served its purpose. let's see. K Dog says thoughts on the Dark Detective. We are about to get into the Dark Detective. With anything to do with the Batman universe, you have to take it in clumps and in order because they're all dealing with the same thing here. We're dealing with the magistrate, and Teen Titans is kind of mixing brands, which I think is pretty cool because you're getting elements of Flash, Shazam, Magistrate. So Teen Titans seems to be a pivot point for Future State, and I mentioned this before in my little DC Tuesday live hangout after I picked up my new books. I was going to be excited to figure out how these things connect and intertwine because we know that these titles do not take place in the same year. So chronologically for this week, Robin Eternal was the first book. Didn't plan on picking this one up until after that first week of Future State, and I decided to go in. And now this was probably a favorite one that I read through this week. It's not necessarily the best one, but I enjoyed myself the most in the read through of this book. I was expecting the least from it, got the most from it. It was amazing.
I really liked it. They leaned into like the Batman Beyond style tech of for Robin in this. Like he disappears, he has like cloaking and stuff, but it looks real cool. It's all like red and green and stuff. That
Mm-hmm.
was really cool. I love the way they handled that technology. The way that they drop in, the action of it is just like well done. I mean, I picked out, I think it's page 22. Page 22 of that whole like book is just like awesome. The way it's all laid out. Uh,
Page 22.
page 22.
What was happening on page 22?
That's whenever it looks all like Destiny, and he's like flipping up over the resin
Oh,
enhanced.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that like top shot. Like it's just as confusing for the audience as it is for them. Like we're in trouble, and then you go into like that cool like side shot, and then you see him flip over, and it's a cool page. The whole thing is laid out well. I love it.
So, what we have going on in this book is this is where they first touch on Bruce Wayne really being missing or dead as well.
Hmm.
And well, it was in this book too. They touched on Dick Grayson and Jason Todd for a minute, isn't it?
What did they say about Jason Todd?
That he's basically hunting down masks with the magistrate. Dick's ranting and raving in Arkham. Jason's betrayed all of us to work for the people that killed Bruce. Damien dot dot dot. So we're still yet to see Damien. And the whole statement there about Nightwing I thought was important to keep in context because Teen Titans comes after this. And knowing that Dick Grayson is ranting and raving in Arkham, you would assume that he's an inmate in Arkham, but he's not. Arkham is not an asylum anymore. It's just a ran down building at this point. So he's just lonely by his lonesome, just
Yeah,
pissed off and a little bit crazy.
yeah, because I had read Teen Titans before I read this one, and so
Bummer.
I kind of picked up on that. Whenever he says he's like ranting and raving, is like, okay, yeah. So there's something different about Dick Future State universe versus the regular. Like he's out of his mind apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah. So we get Tim Drake as the Robin that they feature in this, and he's pretty much just straight up patrolling, like, and he's doing it stealthily, but he's very bold about it. He's not trying to avoid confrontation at all. He's taking on all the magistrates' drones and all these little machine tech, and he's got this intel that they are working with the Lazarus Pit in creating a substance that they can put into their cybernetic organisms they have to beef them up to stop them from being so easy to destroy. So it starts off with him taking them on head on so that he can actually test out how tough they are so he can see how it's going to go from there.
And
And
it's the same like robot things that Harley Quinn was fighting at the beginning of her book, right?
I think so. Yeah, it's just those magistrate drones that are out there. So right off the back, Stephanie, aka Spoiler, kind of saves his butt. And this first one that he needed saving from, that he needed help with, he had to get it. They didn't have that upgrade yet. So he asks her if she wanted to jump in and help him out. And she said, "No way. Too many people have died. I'm not trying to watch you die. There's no way." Blah blah blah. And she doesn't help him, so he dips out. And he goes to get help from somebody else. And forget who this girl is though.
Yeah, that was one thing. I did not know these characters, so like I really didn't know what was going on as far as relationships there.
Yeah,
It looked
I'm
like
not
a
sure.
different Catwoman or something. I don't know.
Oh, did you read? You remember? It was part of Tynan's Batman. No, the Punchline one shot. Did you read that?
Oh no, I didn't read that one.
Mm. I feel like it's the girl that I think it was the Punchline one shot that was in the back of that, whose brother was kind of getting hooked on listening to the Punchlines podcast. But anyways, he goes and gets help because he's got the information that they're bringing in a shipment of the Lazarus stuff to boost up the machines, and he wants to go stop it in the air. And he gets the help that he needs, and they go flying up there. And Stephanie's there waiting because she was going to meet him there anyway. She couldn't say no to him. And they get in here, and they were expected. They were automatically surrounded. So we get some awesome action, awesome fight scenes, and it definitely took it.
Action in this book.
Yes, I like Robin's suit too, man. They kept it looking like Robin while kind of making it. Clearly, we're in the future here, and we get to that page you were pointing out, and he jumps over this thing, and he was going to be all tough and bad. It's one of those like hoorah moments, where you're excited, like, okay, Robin, get it done. And he jumps up here, and it definitely goes south for him.
Right.
He gets snatched up, grabbed by the neck, and I don't know if you noticed. I'm sure you did. They draw his eyes white whenever he's in his suit, But they took the time to put his eyes in that panel to show you that he's being choked, and then yeah, then they kill him. But he dies. I don't know if you can tell in the Lazarus pit juice.
Uh-huh.
So they're like, Tim, the resin, it's all over him. And you hear crack, pop, crack, like his bones are resetting or something. And then you see him stand up in beast mode saying round two. Thus, Robin Eternal is born. So it's about to get nuts.
Yeah.
It,
I hate to like not live in the moment, but I wonder how this is going to play out because what happens one issue later when this storyline is over?
I'm wondering if we're going to get like a convergence of a lot of these characters because, again, Harley Quinn, Nightwing standalone book, Robin Eternal, the next Batman, The Outsiders, Arkham Knights. There is so much content in Future State. There is so much. And this year, 2025, that all of those are set in is the heaviest year for content. So I can only assume that these characters are going to pop up again, and they're all these characters are spread out. They're all solo. They're all being hunted. They're all trying to make it on their own. But I can just kind of picture the Bat family getting together to overcome this, because that's one thing we haven't. This is the closest we've seen to the Bat family. We've seen two characters together side by side. We
Yeah.
still have Catwoman coming. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just assuming that we're going to get the Bat family together. It's going to converge on itself somewhere. The next Batman is the only one with what, 4 titles, 4 issues, 3.
I think so. And Specs Vision, yeah, he fought drones, but they were government drones. They weren't the magistrate drones, correct?
Who? Robin?
No, John and Superman and Metropolis when he had
Oh,
to
yeah,
fight the
yeah,
drones.
yeah. That had nothing to do with the magistrate stuff. It's all strictly
Yeah, they were
on the
pretty
Batman
specific that
titles.
it's government drones.
Yeah, the magistrate's jurisdiction is only inside of Gotham, and they made sure to make that abundantly clear with the next Batman issue 1. One of the bonus stories in it was the Outsiders, and it
Yeah,
starts out with who was it? Signal, Lucas Fox
yeah,
racing the
yeah,
city on the bridge, just trying to cross that
yeah,
County Point line. Because the
yeah,
second that he did, even the other cops were like, "Stop! Stop! 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 Nope! Nope! Nope!" And that one cop got ballsy and it didn't work out for him.
yeah.
So for whatever
Side.
is allowed to do whatever he wants inside of Gotham, but that is it. Outside of Gotham, they don't even try it. And we've only seen one time now where Christopher Nakano was mentioned, but he's the mayor still, and he's the one that just won the mayor bid in the final issue of Detective Comics going into this. So I don't know what kind of pool or rank he has, but we'll see. Dude, now that I've seen the shooting, I can't believe it's a snake instead of an S. This is definitely an S. Let's see. It looked the same though, right? Uh, I'd have to go back and look, but probably if the drones look the same.
I feel like the magistrate drones are more technical looking, I guess. I don't know.
So all those Batman titles so far took place in the year 2025. Now we kind of bump up on the timeline to the year 2027 for the Teen Titans issue. Now, the only other title that's listed as year 2027 is The Flash, which is actually referenced. You have a writer's note in this for The Flash issue 2, which I thought was a little bit odd because, again, I'm trying to read as much of this in order as possible. But I think that's also intentional, kind of like with the first Green Lantern story. They're giving a story without any groundwork.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
we have.
I find it annoying though. Like it's just why reference something we have no access to?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm probably going to go back and read it after I read Flash #2 just to see if it changes anything. But we have Dark Detective, Flash, and Teen Titans all taking place in the year 2027. So everyone so far in the Bat titles that thinks Bruce is dead and not know what's going on with him, they spent 2 more years after that thinking that because he doesn't pop back up for 2 years. So just giving time reference to it. But he came out strong. This was good. That being said, which one do you want to tackle first?
Let's talk Dark Detective.
Saving the best for last, Tom.
Yeah, I enjoyed Dark Detective. I thought it was cool. I don't know what's really detective-y about it, but definitely like secret agent, super spy kind of stuff, and I do dig that. So
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's detecting now that you mentioned it. But I think it's obviously just a play on the two different Bat titles that we have, Batman and Detective Comics. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it starts off with see, this is something that this might just be me with the whole like, how did Clown Hunter get in Harley's apartment? You know how that just bugged me and bugged me. I
yeah,
couldn't get past it. I think this might be another one of those things. It gives us the flashback of why everyone thinks he's dead. Like Batman's already been I guess stopped temporarily at the start of this because like there's already news that Batman's not shown his face or anything, and then you get news that comes in that Bruce Wayne's been killed, he's been shot. We get right there him being shot with Magistrate #1 back there, just standing there watching this gunshot wound Bruce Wayne run away. Why wouldn't you stop him? Why wouldn't he follow him? Why wouldn't he chase him? He doesn't do any of those things. He
yeah.
allows him to walk off, go to a underground doctor, put his cowl on, and get sewn up. So Bruce doesn't ever die. Like as the reader standpoint, we never get a point where we think he's dead. We see that the magistrate shot him in the gut and let him run off into the sunset. So that kind of bugged me a little bit, but I got past that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing because I was like, well, I thought everybody thought he was dead, so seems weird. It just starts with him walking through Gotham, you know?
Yeah. You think he'd be kind of recognizable too. He's walking through Gotham and his pictures up everywhere that now former millionaire suggest Wayne was having a tough time adjust. There's like little ads up about him in the city with little
It talks about them having memorialized something, like people that have died.
so yeah, that was a little weird, just kind of setting the stage for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. Well, but he says what the money that he had whenever he got stitched up paid for his anonymity and the end of Bruce Wayne, right?
Is just enough anesthesia. No, bought me anonymity and just enough morphine to keep me from losing my mind. So that was while Gotham's best butcher sewed up the holes in my gut.
Yeah. So that just like kept him anonymous to whoever was doing the work on him, so they wouldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it's weird because it didn't feel like Bruce Wayne ever like died or disappeared or was lost, but
and it
that's
said that was the
what it's supposed
last of
to
his
believe,
money
like
too.
in universe, you know.
Yeah, and he said that was the last of his money. Period. The last of the Wayne fortune. Bought me anonymity and just enough morphine. So we already knew that he was running on empty funds going into future state. So I guess they're still playing on that as well. So and they did do a decent job. I couldn't tell when when he broke up that little fight in the alley and then he goes on that epic run, and it really was a really cool run. When he started running and the way like he emerges into his dark detective outfit, that actually pumped me up. Like, dude, this artwork is fantastic.
Yeah,
That was a good little scene right there.
and stuff in it. Yeah,
So when he goes running from the little drones, I like this shot right here because what I took that as, I mean, you see him pulling the cowl out, but he's also holding where he got shot. That's the same place he got shot at. So I was thinking it was kind of painful for him still. So I don't know how much time went by from the gunshot to this, but he busts out in that new outfit. It does look cool where it's just
yeah,
basically
Flash.
ballistic armor painted on there.
Yeah,
I'm digging the new suit.
cool. Yeah, I like the suit. I mean, I like the way he moves in it. You know, very. It reminds me more of like Daredevil or something. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I just saw where Charlie Cox just got done filming for the new Spider-Man movie. So
Yeah,
they're
about
they're just throwing everything in that movie.
that.
It's that actual theatrical movie is going to end up being just like the CW Crisis, where it's so useless and pointless, you just don't care.
Yeah, that's my big concern. Like, there's just too much stuff being crammed into these movies anymore. You can't enjoy anything because you have to take it all in. You know.
Mm-hmm. It was cool seeing him without a cape too, because I don't know if they did this scene here when he first jumps off the building and shoots the grappling hook, but he misses a wall. It goes into a window, then he swings down and slams into the side of the building. It was pretty rough. This dude's out of shape.
Yeah.
And it looks like the magistrate's just sitting there watching him. So I'm assuming that the magistrate might have let him go intentionally. He shoots him in the gut, lets him run away. He's just sitting here watching these little drones try to stop Batman. You'd have to assume he knows these drones aren't going to get him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was
It was an interesting story just because, like, it seemed the most. I don't know, probably the most disjointed thing from all of the future state titles so far.
yeah.
Like everything else seems to fall like kind of in this like future state world, but this one seemed disjointed from all of that.
It looked like it was in a different time era too. It looked very Blade Runner esque, very Fifth Element with all the holograms and the way that they colored the city and everything.
Yeah, I also like the knives. Whenever they pull the knives in the alley, I thought those looked really cool. Like I think it's just
Oh,
the
yeah, like lit up.
yeah, like I think it's just the blades shining in the light, you know. But
Yeah,
it almost looks like an energy blade or something. It looks really cool.
mhm. I think it might be up because there's one panel where with a knife where it shows the dude's face and you see light hitting his face from in front of him. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
know. But yeah, it was pretty much just a quick little story to get him into the suit to kind of give you some context on why people think Bruce Wayne's dead. Apparently, he's been AWOL after. I guess the magistrate would have reported that he had shot him.
yeah.
That was how people would know because there is a grave for him.
Hmm.
But then the bonus story in this is just as thick as the Batman story was, and it's called Grifters, plural. But it was really cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I
Just
thought
kind
it
of
was cool. It was a fun read.
lounging around with cash, just being a POS. Not much to it. Just it was pretty much a good little intro, getting him into an upcoming mission, I guess. Him just fighting with the cops, fighting in a bar. uh, being convinced, and it was cool that he's with Batman. He's with the next Batman. He's with, as far as we know, the next Batman. He's with Tim Fox in the back of a magistrate uh,
Yeah,
cop car. They're being taken to jail, and they break out together. And yeah, and he's trying to talk him into helping him all the while he's getting dressed into his uniform. So we're gonna get some grifter in there. I think he's a really cool character. He's pretty much gun for hire, you know.
yeah, yeah. I really don't know much about him other than that story that I read there, and it was cool. Like I don't know, it felt a little long in the tooth. I wish it could have been a few pages shorter, and I think I would have enjoyed it a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. Seeing him with Batman, and we get Huntress introduced into here, so we're slowly getting more Bat family characters kind of in the same place together. And I don't think this Grifter story takes place in the same year that the Dark Detective does. I think it takes place back in the 2025 year as well,
Oh, okay.
which makes me wonder because all the stuff that goes on in the next Batman with Tim Fox, with Nightwing, with Robin Eternal, none of them are going to get through the magistrate thing because he's still an issue in Dark Detective. So it's clearly going to be Bruce that solves that problem. So we can know that just from the timeline.
Yeah, good observation. What about Teen Titans?
Let's get it.
Titans.
Very, very content heavy. Again, this one is a pivot point for Batman content, Shazam content, and Flash content, all while trying to roll out its own story. So this had a lot going on in it. There was, for the year 2027, there was present day story being taking place. There was flashbacks happening. They're introducing countless new characters in this. Uh, it was confusing at times. It was honestly confusing at times. It really was. The artwork was fantastic.
Oh man, isn't that the same guy that was doing the artwork on the Flash, Williamson's Flash?
I'm not sure who was doing the artwork on that. I can,
Sandoval?
yeah, Rafa Sandoval doing the pencils in this, if that's who it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, the artwork was really good in this.
Hmm.
So it starts out with them at the ruin and destructions of where the Teen Titans Tower was, Titans Tower, and there's numerous graves. Donna Troy's grave, Wally West's grave, Wallace West's grave, Matt Price, like
Yeah, it's just like row upon row.
everyone's dead except who you see, pretty much. If you don't see them, they're in the ground. So they find that red X mask that I'm assuming that Robin wore in the Teen Titans show at some point or something.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. For me, this was an interesting read because I've never read most of these characters, and I've never read any Teen Titans stuff. So for me, like my only experience is the Teen Titans cartoon, and so going into this, like, there's a lot of characters I don't know very well or know much of, but I kind of get all the impressions, and a
Mhm.
big pivot point in that show is, when Robin goes rogue and does the Red X thing. So to see them bringing that in, I think is really cool. And so whenever they pull that mask out, like that's a really cool moment to me.
Well, I didn't watch the show, so what is some context for that? I mean, I've seen random episodes, but
Yeah, it's I mean that it's I want to say it was 2 episodes, like a 2 episode arc. And basically like the Red X pops up out of nowhere and he's trying to steal something from the Titans, and so the Titans are kind of trying to stop him, but he's unstoppable. And then you find out he's working for Slade, but then it all turns out to be a double cross where Robin went to be the Red X so that he could get on the inside with Slade. And so he didn't tell any of the other Titans that he was doing the Red X thing because he knew they would hold back whenever they were in the position to have to stop him from doing wrong.
so it's like a flip of the Judas contract where Slade sends his mole into the Teen Titans. That's really cool.
Yeah, so Robin, yeah, basically he's trying to infiltrate Slade and get close to him so he can take him out. And so that's pretty much where they leave it. I want to say like later toward the end of the show, they have somebody break in and take the Red X mask that Robin had locked away, and they chase him down, but they get it back. So it's not like there's somebody else out there running around being the Red X.
Well, they find that mask right off the bat in the rubble of this, and it makes Robin flash back. See, this is where it gets a little weird. So they find the mask in the rubble right in the beginning, and he's looking at it, and he flashes back to a party for his birthday where he's holding the mask, and they don't know who gave him the mask at the party, but they're all just assuming, well, somebody had to have given you the mask. And there's a huge roster of Teen Titans in here. This is an era where all the OG Titans are the mentors, and you have like the next generation of Teen Titans in here that are working under them. So obviously, the majority of the kids in here don't know about the Red X. So you have Starfire, Cyborg, Beast Boy, and that's pretty much the only ones that you have in here that would have been present for that, and none of them can account for it. So that's a little discombobulating there. And then it goes back to the present time with them looking at the Red X and trying to go through and the rubble and find something. And this is where it gets really cool, though. This series is going to get nuts because what they're looking for is an H dial from Dial H for Hero, and they find it. They find an H dial, which is super cool. So they're not wanting to fire it up or mess with it, not knowing what could happen, and so they're trying to get a hold
That's
of.
I know by name, but explain the H dial. I don't know what that means exactly.
I don't know what's going on with the case, but that's like some old school Hero where they would like have like I think he had like the belt or something where he would be able to turn the knob on the belt and it would give him his powers for a while. So I don't know what's the deal with it in the case, because it looks like a phone rotary in the case.
Yeah.
So that's going to get a little bit interesting because what they're doing is they're looking for weapons, and you don't know why at this point. But then you kind of go to other characters, and now this is where it gets weird again because we have Johnny Thunderbolt, Starfire, and somebody else looking at an amalgam of Cyborg and Beast Boy mixed together.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you see that, it flashes back again. So the story's bouncing really, really heavily here. And we've already been given tons of content. Titan Towers has fallen. Tons of people are dead. We're looking for weapons. The Red X mask has popped up. Cyborg and Beast Boy are mixed together. And that's only like 4 pages in.
That's true, man. Like, I couldn't believe how much we got out of this issue. It's so packed.
And not to mention, they even took the time to give us 1 page to dive into the relationship of Cyborg and Beast Boy. That little flashback to where they go to a speaking engagement together.
Yeah.
So you get some character development between their relationship. So they're packing this issue somehow. But it looks like the city's flooded. They're driving around on jet skis, going to their little safe house. Still don't know what destroyed Titan Tower, what they're fighting. And then we see the list of the surviving new younger crew. And it's a little bit odd. Some weird characters. Like there's a Chupacabra on the team. There's a... What are some of the other ones? Let me try to find their names because a lot of them are completely new to me. What did you think of this new roster?
I don't know. I don't remember what it was exactly.
All right, today's priority is reestablishing communication with Shazam's field team. So now we have another team that they're working with. We still haven't seen.
Reference.
Batgirl, you're with Gorilla Greg, not Gorilla Grodd. Totally Tubular, you're with Jakeem, and Johnny Chupacabra, you're on watch. So there's a lot of new people here.
Yeah, it's a weird list. I don't know what happened there.
So when we turn the page, we see what they're actually trying to fight finally, and it's a giant Hydra, giant 4-headed dragon or something.
Which was a cool reveal.
It was. Now
they need Yara Floor.
They do. They really do. Now you have Raven. It looks like Raven is fighting it and dying along with her team. But what she's doing is just kind of running scenarios. Like she has herself in her own danger room, running scenarios on how to find the proper path to take this thing on. And there's
Mm.
somebody that they have locked up downstairs, and you can't see who it is. You can see their hands, and she's talking to that person who's mentoring her and trying to get her up to speed to be able to defeat this giant dragon. And she hasn't been able to get to that point yet, but she decides that her training is complete with that person. He's taking her as far as she can go, and they need to keep moving. And the whole while, Nightwing's just wanting to go with his own plan, and Starfire seems to want to go a different route, and they're all just kind of pushing for it. And Beast Boy Cyborg is absolutely nuts. It looks like the dialogue from Cyborg is what Beast Boy is saying, and vice versa. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, they always like kind of talk backwards, and I really liked it. Like to me, that's where the most came through. Like this feels like the Teen Titans show. Like Batman the animated series. They've continued that with Batman: The Adventures Continue. This Teen Titans book feels like an extension of the Teen Titans show. Like all the voices are there, and they just like nailed the dynamic, and like it feels like an extension of that show. Like it feels like those characters, like they're telling a story that's connected to that, especially with the whole Red X mask and everything mixed in.
I got a little lost the first time I read through it when we started getting to this next part, when we switched to Shazam's team. So I can only assume that this is the team that's in the field with the dragon. Is that what you got from that?
Yeah, yeah, that's how I took it. But it doesn't
Uh,
say necessarily that that's who. Like I don't know if that's just a team that Raven is put together in the imagination in the danger room, or if they're really fighting this fight, and that's where the Shazam future state takes place.
well, they also said that, well, different year with Shazam Future State also, because he's
Okay.
been that title comes out. He's been missing since the fall of Titan's Tower. So I don't know if this is going to be the official fall of Titan's Tower, or if it being laid in ruin already was the official fall of it they're referencing. But
So do you think that this is her rerunning the scenarios from the day the tower fell?
I don't know.
Trying to see if she could have saved everybody?
I honestly don't know. That's quite possible because we don't see any of these characters anywhere else, and they reference Shazam's team in real time, so he's got to be somewhere. And it looks
Yeah.
like they were here trying a trick with this staff, and it's not slowing him down. Not even sure it'll. And then the staff breaks. Well, that was short lived. What do we do now? We stand down, and then it flashes back. So we get one page with Shazam and his team trying to no avail to stop this dragon. And they reference the way that they reference the dragon. They tell you to look back at Flash number 2 to Barry Allen's his journal or his notes. But we know that we're dealing with Famine in the Flash books, who's one of the four horsemen of Apocalypse, or the four riders, and they mentioned this as one of the riders too, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
So we're basically dealing with two of the riders of Apocalypse at this point. So
Yeah.
this isn't
And
a small threat.
yeah, I kind of wonder like this issue almost seems like a hub for something that's going on, something bigger. And I kind of wonder if like once we get through this whole future state thing, if this issue isn't going to become something amazing where everything makes more sense.
It's got potential too. There's so much story in here. Now this is where it was like really interesting to me. And I have no reference on the actual 2-part episodes of the Teen Titans show, but when we get to that page, that flashback page where someone else has picked up the Red X mask and put it on and is standing in front of like a portal or an energy signature or something.
Yeah, it looks like there's somebody in there.
I was about to say, are you looking at the page right now?
Yeah, but I
Do you
can't
see
see
where he do you see
like
where
a
he stop? You
action.
don't know the power they and the energy comes out and kills Donna Troy.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the person behind Red X who's like silhouetted in the energy. What does he have on his head?
I don't know.
It looks like the Flash wings, dude.
Oh. Oh yeah.
Definitely,
Bottom.
definitely it is, but he's got little wings right here. So we've had Flash referenced. We
Yeah.
have this energy signature here. We're dealing with like four horsemen of the apocalypse or whatever. But so whatever was going on, this student that donned this outfit did not agree with the methods of the Teen Titans and was going to stand in revolt against them. Maybe they had Wally imprisoned in this energy field or something.
Yeah.
But two
Yeah.
people died. I can't tell who died. I know one of them was Donna Troy. I can't tell who the other person was. There's no dialogue. Get him now. Oh, that's the dude with the hero dial. She was telling him to dial it up. So I'm like 99% sure that's all it is. You just dial it up and you're given powers temporarily while after you dial it up. It was like some old, I think it was from the 60s maybe.
Well, they have a more recent series, don't they?
I'm not sure. I'm talking about like when they first did it, hence the rotary phone to it.
Yeah.
But you literally just you dial up HERO and it gives you powers temporarily.
Hmm.
Yeah, Specs. I'm thinking the same thing. It could be Wally because with the reference to Flash number 2, with his Graves, with him being part of the OG Teen Titans, you would think if there was an issue with Wally, not only would the Flash family be concerned about it, you would have the Teen Titan members, that grew up with him concerned about it, and we're also have the connection with famine and.
The version of these characters that they're showing us are like the Teen Titans, but like younger down the road, And so it is like kind of interesting to me, like the um, like high school reunion mentality to it all. Like
Mhm.
Wally West is important to them because they were all Titans together, but like they're older now. We're also not talking about like, oh, kid Wally, that we want to go catch up with. Like, no, like this is like midlife crisis
Yeah,
while and like coming back in that like high school way, and all of that stuff I think is an interesting dynamic that's there too.
yeah.
It this reminds me very much of like a Zack Snyder DC movie. Like
How violent it is.
the stories, like these references are going to be amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that was a cheap shot. But then we get from there after that another like there's so many just single pages that contain their own little flashback or story. Like there's so much content in here. So that whole little moment goes south for the person who was doing the Red X thing because he wasn't trying to hurt anybody. He was just trying to stop them from doing whatever it was they were doing. So we flash forward and we find out that I can only assume it was that student or that Titan, whoever it is that donned the Red X for that moment that they have locked up downstairs. Because Nightwing not agreeing with everyone else's methods, who's one, and they're not agreeing with his, and us knowing at this point, in future state, that he's a little unstable for whatever reason. He goes down there, he lets old Buck out of the cell, gives him the Red X costume, well, gives him the mask because he clearly still had the costume on, and he puts on the Deathstroke mask. No
Which
matter
just
what
like it looks awesome.
it does, it really does. Old Nightstroke.
Ah, yeah, that final shot there, like I love that page. That looks great.
It does, and with him pulling the mask down, you see him pulling it taut.
Yeah,
So overall,
it is though. Like
huh?
who is the Red X?
I don't know.
They don't really
I
give
was
that to us, so that's what I'm interested in finding out here.
there's so much packed into that. That was easily the most content heavy story out of Future State yet. And
Oh
it's definitely why I consider it like a pivot story. You have so many different things connected to this one, and there's
yeah,
not a lot on necessarily on the same timeline.
yeah, yeah, because
So
there's like not a ton that we know about like a lot of the future state worlds in these different
Mhm.
timelines. And so this one just like kind of I don't think it was surface level. You have to look for it, but there's a lot of connections there to where we're at and what's going on in future state. So I'm pretty
That's what.
excited for Teen Titans too.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for Shazam Tuesday because
Yeah,
I'm thinking we're going to get some. I mean, it's possible. I don't think it's necessary at all, but it's possible to get some context to what was going on in here because the synopsis from that it mentions the Titans, like where's he been since the fall of Teen Titans Tower. So we'll see. I'm very hopeful about that one. Like I said, it was not a light read at all.
nuh
I think even if I had been reading Teen Titans for the past 5 years, it still would have been a very very heavy read.
Oh yeah. So what about Justice League? What did you think of Justice League?
Final one on the list. I loved Justice League, dude. I absolutely loved it, and it includes Justice League Dark as the bonus story in it. And
Hmm.
when I thought that like it couldn't get any cooler with the Justice League story, it got 10 times cooler with the Justice League Dark story.
Yeah, this
But as
was
far as
the Justice League Dark. You know, that was another one where there was just like a panel in there that just knocked my socks off. I like a
yeah,
good panel.
I'm excited for you for tomorrow when tomorrow's video drops. I already got one in the chamber that will post at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, that's what's up.
You're welcome.
Woo-hoo.
But this was super cool. Right out the gate, they just they kind of start setting the stage for this new Justice League with just panels of fights that they've been in together. And it start the very first panel, you see Darkseid with Starro on his face shooting an Omega Beam. And I'm like, whoa! Balls to the wall right out the gate. And I love the team. The dynamic of the team was really good. We get all the characters you want. You have an Aquaman character, a Green Lantern, a Wonder Woman, Flash, Superman, and Batman. So you have the entire team you want, but they're all completely new. So wondering how this dynamic would work. I thought they did it good because instead of doing that classic, oh, we don't get along because we're a new team. No, they don't do that. They go a different route with it. They're all trying to make it work too much.
Yeah,
But I like that this Flash, because we have a handful of Flashes in future state, but this Flash is from the future that came back and it came from the multiverse to warn our world of a great conspiracy and stayed behind to help with the fallout. So what conspiracy, what fallout? Again, we're getting questions. So these characters have like backstories to them and weight to them that leave you curious about them. The intro to the villain was cool. Call them
yeah,
not our Justice League, but that was our mistake. They are the Justice League. So there's some little shots at like the real world in here, which are fun here and
yeah.
there. And
I
we get
I really like the way that it's written. Like it flows like a classic Justice League kind of story. You know, like it sets everything up and then gives us this page that's like little character profiles, so you're kind of up to speed. And then you get into like the splash page, and you get like the villain's perspective on everything and what they're going to set up their evil plan to do. You know?
yeah, that was a I didn't even think about that, but that was a very smooth format to see the Justice League have been together fighting big missions, so we know they're capable. Then we get that little brief, just enough information to introduce them, and then an introduction to a rollout of villains. An
Yeah,
absolute like heavy hitters. It looks like you have Cobalt Blue, Amaze X, Despera, which is Trigon's daughter or something. The Screech Owl, which is like a Court of Owls assassin with venom pumping through his veins. It looks like the Flood and Ultraviolet Lantern, and all being headed up by Tio Morrow. And they're sitting here plotting and masterminding, and right when you're thinking, what are they about to release? They found this secret in the Hall of Justice. They're going to release it on everybody. And you turn the page, and they're all massacred. Like they didn't last one bit. I saw that. I'm like, whoa. And
yeah,
again, the DC commits to some violent stuff, man. Like they don't really pull too many punches in the future state stuff so far. Because
yeah,
you have like the ultraviolet lantern isn't just ripped in two, but it looks like she's like squeezed and peeled down. You see like her torso gets skinny and shredded.
yeah,
And then the Flash was standing there going, yeah, and I think we're stepping in the flood, ew, and picking his foot up because the whole room is flooded, but that's just a dead body too.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So the
was a really
Justice,
cool scene. Like it, and to see what's her name, Joe, to see her kind of take over as Green Lantern and be like, all right, well, it's a crime scene, let me do my thing. I thought that was really cool.
and their go-to is to ask Batman, "What do we do?" And they're like, "Dude, he's not a detective. I'm the
Yeah,
detective."
yeah, it was good chemistry from the team.
It really was. That was fun for me, like because every one of these characters has these stereotypes, like Batman being the detective, Superman being the leader, or whatever. And this shook all that up. It absolutely shook all of it up. And everyone that ultimate trust that everyone has in Clark and everything. And nope, they have that for Green Lantern. Like she's got it, dude. She's got it. Let's just go. She said she's
Yeah,
got it. What, you don't trust her? Let her have it. She's good.
yeah, and you see John and Yora together again. After we've seen
Yeah.
them together in their book and we've seen them independently in their own stories.
So I thought that was cool. We kind of touched on that, seeing the dynamic of their relationship in this. I thought it was cool how they started talking. Like they get into the dynamic of the team. That this team is heavily basing their dynamic on like charter rules that the previous team that is dead, as far as they know, like or disbanded or whatever. We find out like Arthur and Mira are alive in this. They're just elsewhere, but they set up rules that the team shouldn't get too close. They shouldn't know each other's secret identities. They shouldn't be fraternizing. We work together and we move on. We only work together if we have to work together, not for any other reason other than just safety. And none of them play by the rules.
Yeah,
Immediately, John and Yara go to get a hot dog together and talk about how we're not even supposed to be doing this.
yeah, that was the one thing that was kind of weird was like how they kept talking about how they were doing what they're not supposed to do.
Yeah. And then Flash and Aquaman's daughter, they seem to be doing the same thing, like possibly be an item. And that's when we kind of see what killed the group of villains, and it looks like Superman and Wonder Woman roll up on Flash and Aqua Woman or Aqua Girl, whatever she gets called in this. I didn't ever catch it.
Aquawoman, I think.
But right off the bat, I thought they killed Flash, dude. I just went, whoa, when I read it. You see a beam come down, hit Flash, and you see a pile of ash. I'm
Yeah,
like, no, they didn't. But they didn't. They looked like they're just looks like they're trapping him in some kind of energy beam and like pulling him into like almost like a mother box. It says boom every time it says something. I believe it was a mother box.
yeah,
But the heroes are being impersonated and they're going in groups of two and kidnapping all the real Justice League. And they reveal themselves to be the Hyper Clan, which looks just like a crime syndicate kind of deal. So they then pose again as a Justice League and take off, and that's how it ends. So we have the actual Justice League imprisoned by the Hyper Clan, who's impersonating them. So it was a good start. I enjoyed the dynamic. I enjoyed the introduction to the couple new characters there. But then we get into the good part of the book, the really, really good part of the book, and that was Justice League Dark. I give
yeah,
that a solid 10. A solid 10.
yeah. It was cool stuff.
Take us through that a little bit.
Um, yeah, I mean, we start out in the desert and we see that's Zatanna, right? And
Yes.
Professor, oh, what's his name? Detective Chimp,
Detective Chuck, yeah, Bobo.
Bobo, yeah. So yeah, they're exploring something, right? A cave.
What they're exploring first is the sky, how it was off, but they're just walking through a wasteland. It looked like with corpses.
Yeah, like a graveyard, and that's when they find the body. Like so, it's left behind as a crucifix, right?
Yeah, they find a bunch of bodies tied to stakes that were burned one by one by one.
Yeah, so they could see each other dying,
They're
and
being
that's when do what?
so they're being tortured. She said that's why they're
Oh,
burning them one by one, so each of them could watch them and get the information they want, all the way down to killing an angel.
and so that's when we get our introduction to the amazing Etrigan ripping out of Bobo. That was
Yes,
something else.
that was amazing, dude. I did not see that coming. I did not know that Etrigan was attached to Bobo. So Jason Blood is who knows where. They touch on it. There's a secret about him, but yeah, the demon is living in the host of Detective Chimp. Fantastic.
Yeah. I love the way that it's animated, the way that or illustrated, I guess, the way he breaks out. It looks
They're
so
almost in
painful.
the same. Yeah, they're almost in the same pose, but opposing each other as well, opposite. Like Bobo's facing one way in that pose, and Etrigan's coming out in the opposite way. I thought that was cool because they definitely are conflicting. Neither one of them wants to be in that position.
Yeah.
So we find
Yeah.
out that Merlin has gone on a killing spree, trying to kill all the people who have magical powers or possess magic or anything. And Etrigan, anyone who doesn't know his backstory, he's a construct of Merlin. Merlin, Camelot was under siege back when Jack Kirby created this character, and Merlin rose Etrigan to fight the forces off. And so Merlin is basically who brought Etrigan into this world, and Etrigan refuses to fight him, and we don't know why. He refuses to swing a single fist against any of his forces. It's like he knows he can't, but he won't get into it. And everyone's begging him to fight and blaming him for some of the atrocities that have happened because he hasn't stepped up to the plate. Because Etrigan is not a small player. He's really not.
Yeah. Yeah, so he shows up and he's confronted with like this weird thing, like you were explaining, like we don't know why. Um and then they go
They go to
this when
that
they go back.
pawn shop for relics.
Yeah. And who
They
comes in?
find the amulet in the angel's burned hand, and they are wondering why that they left it there. And they're pointing out that they don't want the amulet; they want the source of the amulet. So it's basically a pawn shop for magic items.
Yeah. And who is this that they meet in here?
Ragman,
Okay, Ragman.
yes,
Because he has the suit downstairs. What does the Ragman suit do? It collects
absorb,
souls.
yeah, absorb souls.
Okay. I don't know much about Ragman. The only other place I know him from is Deceased Dead Planet. He was in like issue 2 or 3 of that.
Briefly, very briefly, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Didn't he?
sure he
Didn't he
dies,
die? That's everyone dies in that story.
right? Yeah, so they come and they offer a peace offering to Ragman, and they want him to go with them, right? But they already have souls, so he doesn't need any souls to power the suit. But he has given up the suit, right? He doesn't want to.
Well, he said he doesn't want no part of this because he knows it's a fool's errand for one, and he said that he's basically useless because he hasn't worn the suit in so long that it's out of souls. But what yeah, what good's a demon if he can't give you some souls, you know?
Yeah,
So
very true.
Etrigan did say like he can't fight anybody about anything on this, but he is able to help in a roundabout kind of way. And you can see that he kind of takes a little bit of pleasure in this too, because he kind of boasts about being able to offer a soul to the suit, and he smiles when he does it, but he gives the ragman suit and he gives Roy a soul, and then they go from there.
Yeah, so here they go out to where'd they go? The desert, right? Of Nevada?
Well, that psychopathic looking ragman flies out, and they're all wondering what kind of soul Etrigan gave it, and then they head out looking for because didn't Roy tell them that Constantine had been in there the day before working on
Yeah.
conjuring up a spell, and they kind of had a lead on where to go because they're trying to get to Constantine because they need help, and I think they went out to Nevada is where they took them.
Yeah, he cast a cloaking spell. It's
Yeah,
like
how
outside of Las
convenient.
Vegas.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they go to the edge of Las Vegas and they're trying to figure out what he's trying to hide because he cast this cloaking spell. So they're trying to figure out what he hid outside of Las Vegas, and that's when we get this like homeless man on a bench next to a crazy guy, and of course it's a plant. Very classic storytelling device. But he's like, I thought they were gonna reveal Merlin here, that he was hiding
Same.
Merlin, because that's what they kept talking about. And I don't know anything about him in DC Comics, but they kept talking about him. I was like, oh, so this old man is actually Merlin. I thought that's what they were going to find. But they get there, and Professor Chimp rips in half again. And oh well, I guess there was a bunch of other stuff with Constantine in here.
Yeah, running the Constantine, Madame Xanadu's been saying how she's been getting the same three cards over and over and over and over.
Oh
And
yeah,
as they walk in, the third card flips and reveals the devil. It's the
but she
chariot, the
always gets
hermit, the seven of something over and over. She would get the
yeah.
chariot, the hermit, the seven of something. Like the chariot would, I guess, in a sense, be this caravan of characters moving across the country trying to get to their destination. The hermit being the man on the bench, and the seven of, I didn't really count how many characters we're up to, but I'm going to guess it might be seven. But
Mm,
when they get there, she flips to reveal the card of the devil, which they point out that even though it's drawn as a devil, it's actually presented as a demon. So it's like all the cards have fallen into place. Like they've arrived. We have the hermit on the bench, and now the demon is here.
yeah. So they go outside, and it's raining, and Etrigan just like blows fire all over this homeless guy. It's such a cool panel.
Yet it doesn't burn him.
Yeah, like he doesn't actually. Oh, and I guess it's important that this other guy, the other homeless guy that was on the bench next to him, he keeps saying like how the old man, the hermit, I guess, is telling him, you're gonna see me die tonight. You're gonna see me die tonight. And so then
Yeah,
Etrigan shows
he's
up,
like almost
and
like a prophet. He was sitting there looking blindly out, like predicting his own future, and that's what their conversation was about. How this was going to be the day that he dies.
yeah, and so Etrigan comes out there and blows fire all over him, and it slowly peels away all the skin and everything else in a less gruesome manner than I just described it. And you see Doctor Fate.
Boom! Who they were wondering where he went, assumed him dead.
Yeah, and that's they talk to him, but that's pretty much the end of it. And so where do you think it goes from here? What is this all about?
So it cuts from there to you see Merlin and one of his acolytes talking, and then the last panel you see is Khalid putting on the helmet of Naboo, saying, "So listen carefully to my story before we make our final stand, and I will tell you of the future that I saw and how we may yet change it." So I think we're just gonna get a straight up magic battle, man. Like Merlin's pretty famous in history and a pretty big hitter in terms of magic in the DC universe, and he clearly is a shot caller even in the eyes of these other magic characters. So I think it's just going to be a straight magic war, straightforward. I don't think with these supplemental stories we get too much.
Yeah,
They don't
because
have
there's
a
gonna
lot of
be
time to play it out.
there's basically gonna be two issues of this, so
Mhm.
they don't really have a ton of time to do much with it. But that should be interesting. I'm excited to see what happens. I love the way they revealed Doctor Fate.
What I think is going to happen, and what I can only hope to happen, because out of this entire list of characters, the demon is by far my favorite one, and I'm thinking he's going to break the rules of his curse that allows him to be there, save the day, and double curse himself back to hell to pull it off.
Wow, that'll be interesting.
We'll see. I'll tell you what, in terms of these characters, I'm even more excited to see what Constantine's going to do Tuesday in the final issue of Deceased after that last one. Where
Hmm.
he did you read that last issue of Deceased?
Nuh-uh. No, I
Oh
only
my
read
god.
maybe like two or three issues.
Oh my God. He's done like stab Dr. Fate just to get his helmet off of him. He's got the Spear of Destiny. He's got the wizard's staff, and he's taking the fight to Trigon. Like he's flying through the air with the helmet of Naboo on. Like, dude, he went and
Damn.
just took every magical anything and threw it all on and took off for it, man. He's went off the reservation. It was awesome.
Wow, that's awesome.
It
Yeah, I
was
need to finish that.
it's really fun, man.
How many issues is it?
It's the final issue Tuesday, and there's this
Yeah, but what number?
amazing seven, and there's this
Oh, that's not too
amazing
bad.
Yeah, I've collected all the Matina covers. Look at that. Look at that.
Very nice.
Yeah, I was happy with Future State this week. I hate that there's another issue of that Kara Zor-El book because I'm gonna end up buying it. I think it's only $3.99. That ain't too bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's only $3.99. There's no supplemental stories in it. It did end with the start of a fight too, so it might be entertaining to see where it's only. I just hated the artwork, man. If there was better artwork, and if they didn't start off with the death of crypto, that was a
Yeah.
rough place to start.
Yeah. You asked the right question though. Whenever I told you,
What?
whenever I said I don't really care for Bennett's writing, you were like, "How many animals was it?"
But yeah, it was another strong week. Uh, I'm still the biggest comic thing coming out that I'm looking forward to is just more Future State. I know King and Black is coming out this coming week, but I'm reading it, not too excited about it. I'm hoping
uh,
that that comes out, and I'm also hoping that Batman and Catwoman come out.
yeah. I read King and Black 1. I still haven't even read the second one. I'm just sitting on it until the third one, and then I'll probably read them both back to back.
Tom Taylor has been killing it. I don't know if you're in here, Ruben, but I pointed out, I don't know if you're reading it, but Seven Secrets, dude. This past week's issue of Seven Secrets just blew me away. I thought I was going to drop that title, and I'm doubled down on it now.
We Live is going to be out this week.
It's about to be an amazing week. Yeah. Do you know the inner child in me, whenever I hear that that book's going to come out, does that right there? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was cool watching your show. I went back today and was able to watch your most recent video and listen through the whole thing. And you're already talking about the next issue if we live on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I think this series is going to be something that makes best of 2021, you know?
So far, it's leading the way.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed those first three issues, but whenever I was looking at the end of the year, I was like, I hate to just like weigh it unfairly because it's most recent, you know, so it's on my mind. But I don't know the way that it went with the end of the third one. I'm excited to see 4, 5, 6, 7,
Hmm.
however many it's going to be.
Dude, I hope each issue somehow is able to maintain that shift in dynamic, but still keeping like the essence, because every
Yeah.
issue has had a completely different feel as the issue before so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's
Ruben,
everything is so original from it.
mhm. And a lot of people drop Seven Secrets after number one. Issue number three kind of gives you a little bit, and then 5 and 6 really take off. At least you think it does until you get to the second half of issue 6 and realize now the story is absolutely starting, and it's going cosmic and supernatural, and it goes nuts in issue 6. I highly recommend. Uh, I highly recommend jumping back on it. Like, if you have the money and it's not just going to hurt your bank account to go pick up 5 issues of a book, go get them, man. Go get them. Check it out. Because I wasn't expecting that. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they wrote a few issues and they're like, dude, we got to do something more elaborate, and then decided to go outrageous. But spoiler alert, they opened 2 of the secrets in issue 6 for the first time, and it's over with. Like, I'm all in. I'm absolutely all in.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
Yeah,
man, that's
maybe
pretty
I
much.
need to catch up on that one.
I recommend it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you it's been gangbusters from issue 1. It hasn't. But at issue 3, if especially being a father, man, issue 3 hit me really hard, and it had this moment in it that really like kind of paid itself off for that issue, and then the action really picks up in a cool way. I'm not the hugest fan of Daniele's art, but it works very well for this because it's not an existing property that kind of has an iconic look or anything to it. It's not
Yeah,
conflicting with my mind's eye of the characters, so it works really well. But I think
yeah,
I'm about to go and start to get ready to wrap it up for the night, man. I
yeah.
gotta up in a few hours for work. I definitely
I feel
appreciate
that.
you jumping on to hang out. Hope we can do it next week and spend 2 hours on We Live Alone. Just that one
Right?
book. The week
That would
after
really
that
be worth
is nuts that you pointed out. Was Something is Killing the Children. We only find them when they're dead. Something else too coming out that
it.
week.
Department of Truth.
Department of Truth. Dang.
Yeah, that's going to be a packed week. That's going to be
Yes.
a good one.
And on top of that, Future State too. So it's a lot of stuff outside of Future State. But yeah. Well, I do appreciate it, man. And I thank everybody for popping into the chat and hanging out. It was a enjoyable time. And until next time, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.